Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. When money is tight, it can be hard to get enough food, but help and support is available, and so today we're going to focus on helping Vermonters connect to critical food and nutrition programs. I'll be talking with two members of the Older Vermonters Nutrition Coalition. The coalition is working collaboratively and collectively around the state to ensure that all older Vermonters have access to what they need to be well nourished. Joining me are Madeline Gardner, who is the Nutrition and Wellness Coordinator with the Southwest Vermont Council on Aging, and Chris Moldovan, who is a registered dietitian and serves as the Nutrition and Wellness Director for Age Well. Thank you both for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Madeline, to get us started, how would you briefly describe the Older Vermonters Nutrition Coalition, or OVNC?
The Older Vermonters Nutrition Coalition's vision is to contribute to a Vermont that is healthy, vibrant, and just, with connected, diverse, and sustainable communities.
Okay, and according to the Older Vermonters, Older Americans Act, an older person, of course, is over 60, right? That's the kind of cutoff there. And Chris, why was there a need to convene this group?
Well, in fact, Fran, there are so many older Vermonters out there that are in need, seeking ways to expand their budget and access food. And the group really wanted to, reduce food insecurity among older Vermonters across the state, and to reduce and eliminate any gaps or barriers for those older Vermonters to access food.
And, what do we know about access to enough food for older people? What do we know? How do we know it? What kind of studies have been done?
Well, one of the things that we've done here in Vermont is the area agencies on aging. There are 5 of us. We have been surveying all of our Meals on Wheels clients over the past 2 or 3 years now. And we've determined that about 50% of those older Vermonters receiving Meals on Wheels are at high risk for food insecurity. And when you factor in moderate risk, 70% of older Vermonters across the state who receive Meals on Wheels are at moderate to high risk for food insecurity.
Wow, and there are so many elders who aren't on Meals on Wheels, and who are very proud in their places and probably not having access to food as well.
Exactly. And that, this is something that is near and dear to the hearts of the area agencies on aging, but many community partners throughout the state are doing our best to work together to help older Vermonters access food.
And can one really make diet changes later in life that can impact our health, Chris?
Absolutely. As a registered dietitian, I've seen so many people over the years that might be suffering from multiple chronic health problems like diabetes, hypertension, hypercholesterolemia, other heart disease type issues. They could be struggling to maintain weight or heal wounds. And so at any age, you can make changes to eat more balanced, intake, healthier variety of foods, more fruits and vegetables, high protein foods and such, and make an impact on your overall health. It's important to think about diet, physical activity, if that's appropriate, and following any medical recommendations from your physician, like taking your medications and so forth.
And food really is a medication. When you even include heal wounds, food can help heal wounds, much less help with some of these other, major illnesses.
Absolutely. Surgical wounds, a hip replacement, a knee replacement, you've got to get adequate nutrition to heal that as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
Great. And Madeline, what are some of the barriers that older folks have to getting the food they need?
Yeah, limited income is one, but there's many other barriers. Transportation is a big one.
Sure.
How are these older Vermonters getting to and from the food distribution locations? Many older Vermonters face mobility issues, cognitive decline, inability to prepare and cook meals in their homes, either related to a health issue or cognitive changes, lack of reliable cooking facilities at home, and that's just only to name a few.
Wow, and those are a lot of barriers to really overcome. So Chris, how did you go about forming this group, the OVNC, and how does it impact some of those barriers?
Well, the Older Vermonter Nutrition Coalition sort of came about through a meeting of the nutrition directors at the 5 area agencies on aging in partnership with the V4A. And, you know, we talked about the calls that we would get, clients that were, you know, searching ways to access food, that they just didn't have enough, and they were hungry and they were looking for ways to, you know, get home delivered meals or access community meals or the local food shelf, but they just didn't know where to turn. So we, the group of Area Agency on Aging nutrition directors, reached out to community partners that we knew, partners that were working on similar goals and strategies. You know, the Vermont Food Bank, the VA hospital, the Vermont Health Department, and so forth. And we started to kind of create this group that could think about what those gaps and barriers are, how to overcome them, and create some useful information. And so as the area agencies on aging were actually the group that sort of came together first, we also have a senior helpline that is available to people across the state. It's a 1-800 number. It's called the helpline. It's staffed by trained individuals at the AAA level who can answer questions and guide people along and get them to know where to turn.
Right, and you've also created a Trifold flyer. It's a lot about getting information out to people, that there is support, there is help, and so all of this coalition is also kind of doing that. So what is the number? There's the brochure, so that's one thing. Just knowing that help is there is very helpful.
Yes. Yeah, Fran, you're right. And one of the things that we've done is done our best really to distribute as many of these flyers across the state, because we feel that if people have these in their possession, in their household, when they need it, they know where to turn. So not everyone is in need all the time, but certainly when things, you know, inflation has happened and cost of gas, and suddenly, you know, food prices have skyrocketed, how do people know how they can access, say, 3 Squares? You know, that's a program that helps people have access to additional funds to buy nutritious food. Or where is the local meal site? Or does my faith community have a local food shelf? And so, you know, we wanted to be able to pull together all the resources that we were aware of in the state in one place. And this, you know, little brochure, Trifold brochure, we've distributed over 25,000 copies to date. And we continue to distribute those in various places where older Vermonters could access them.
Fabulous. And when I went to your site quickly, which is lovely, it does talk about 3 Squares if it's time for people to sign up for that, and or access to farmers markets and coupons for farmers markets. And so that's where those nutritional foods is, and probably also transportation issues are talked about. So what is that? Let's do that 800 number now. We'll do it again at the end.
Sure. It's the 1-800-642-5119 is the helpline. And you'll reach a qualified, trained individual at the area agencies on aging nearest you in the state of Vermont, and they will be able to help you and direct you towards the right program that would suit your needs.
Awesome. And Madeline, how have you collaborated across the state to really get this to everybody in all those little places across our beautiful state?
Yeah, so we as a group met monthly for the first 2 years, and then when the pandemic struck, we had to act quickly. And we actually started to meet in a virtual setting, which allowed for more people to join the meeting without the burden of travel or constraint on time. So we actually saw more members able to come to our meetings that otherwise would not be able to join. If a member wasn't able to attend, we would share our meeting minutes to keep people updated. We're always looking for new interested members. And like Chris mentioned previously, we continue to distribute the Trifolds to Meals on Wheels providers, congregate sites, as well as community health centers and different community partners.
Sure, and of course those members, anyone who's interested in nutrition for older Vermonters, I take it. So let's get everybody involved who feels that this is a really important issue, which of course it is. And Chris, what's next for the group?
Well, what we've done is create this Trifold, which is a statewide document. And what we thought we could do is break into sort of regions and think about what's local to, say, Chittenden County or Rutland County or whatever county that you're living in. And we're hoping to create a template so that each region can create an insert that would go in the Trifold that's very specific to their area.
That's fantastic. And you know, if there's one critical diet change that elders might want to think about, they might not have thought about, what would that be, Chris?
Oh, gosh. I think the most important factor, oh gosh, there's so many, but the most important factor I think for older Vermonters is just making sure they're getting adequate protein. I think protein is one of those areas. It's expensive. It's perhaps a little bit more labor intensive to cook. It might be difficult for them to chew. You know, that's something that people often cut out. And yet protein is so important for maintaining strength and muscle mass and cellular structure. And as I said, wound healing and maintaining strength as we age. So I think protein is it, but of course, fiber and fruits and vegetables and you know, getting calcium and all of those things are important.
So we're just about out of time. So before we run out, we're going to highlight the helpline one more time. And Chris, what can we expect when someone calls that helpline?
Sure. When you call that helpline, you're going to reach a staff person who's trained, who has access to various resources in their community at the area agency on aging level. And they're going to be able to treat you with kindness, courteousness, and direct you in the most efficient way to access what you need.
Okay, fabulous. Chris and Madeline, thank you so much for joining us. And we hope a lot of older Vermonters are listening and will contact you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Eat well and stay well.